how to put it. I do think there's a cultural difference too. I have to say that coming and living in Germany, we are very, I mean, you know that, you live there, we're very direct, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we will say very clearly what we want and what we don't like. If we
Mm-hmm.
don't like you, we will either not talk to you or we will tell you that what
Mm-hmm.
we don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And, in terms of romantic relationships or dating, it's, the men are very, very, how are they? They're so, it's almost like an equal, right? It's like an equalizer. There's not a lot of polarity, I feel sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
because the men are, yeah, it's just so normal for men to be like, of course she will ask me out, of course. Of course, like if she wants to go out with me, or she will tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. But it's not unusual for, a German woman to ask a guy out. Just it's not unusual, or for
Yeah.
her to make the first move.
Yeah.
So, but in Australia it is very different.
Okay.
And yeah, and the level of the cultural difference of communication is different as well.
Okay.
So in Germany, I have found that we generally face our problems head on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, in Australia, there can be a culture of not, yeah, just sweeping things under the carpet, not
Mm-hmm.
wanting to, um, you know, talk about them. Yeah, so that's kind of part of it as well. I feel
Okay.
like that it's might be harder for men to engage on that level.
Okay. Okay. Well, because I do think, I have this theory that we, that everyone kind of plays a part in, I do know some people who are dishonest for no good reason, right? Like, just it's unnecessary to be dishonest. But I also know that there are people, or I have the theory that there are people that don't allow other people to be honest. Like,
Yes.
because they're gonna, you can't say something to something honest to them because you know they're gonna have this reaction. Like, they're not gonna be able to discuss it calmly or whatever. So so I have to cover it up because I can't. They can't deal with that, right? But
Yeah.
on the other side of this, to go back a little bit to what you were saying, um, because I operate under the assumption that everyone is capable of everything, and I don't care what they say. You know what I mean? If someone says to
Mhm.
me, you know, um, I would never cheat on you, I never would see someone else, it's a nice thing for them to say. I don't believe it, and
Yeah.
and that's not to say that I don't trust them, but I know that there's always, whether how extreme the circumstance needs to be, everyone is capable of going against their word, or like, any manner of those types of, they make this declaration, and then, you know then there's something happens, and then they go against what they said that they would totally never do, and when I operate under this assumption, I don't feel jealous when someone goes and talks to, like, because I know I have no control over it anyway. If they go and they're going to meet for drinks, and they have history or something, you know get a couple of drinks in them, something might happen, and no one intended for it to happen, but it can happen or whatever, right? So what can I do? I can't control the situation. What am I gonna do? Tell them they can't go? It's, to me, it's just,
Yeah.
it's irrelevant. So I just don't feel. I have this tendency. I don't really feel. jealous. So, and it, to me, it doesn't matter what they're actually doing or what I think could actually happen. You know, I
Mm,
just assume that it can happen, and I won't be able to do
mm,
anything about it. You know, I can only deal with whatever happens after this. You know what I mean? If someone
yeah,
cheats on me or something like this, then we have to have some sort of discussion, and then I figure out what I'm going to do about it. You know what I mean? But I don't spend time
yeah,
being jealous before that it could happen. You know? So
yeah,
that's why I was making that distinction earlier in our conversation about like you know, like somehow you have a thought about something that someone could do, and then they do something and then you're like, I had a reason to be jealous. Like, and I that's why I don't think there's a reason to be jealous. Like, you know, there's a reason not to trust people, but there's not a reason to be jealous, because I think jealousy is your reaction to something, not like, you know
yeah.
what I mean. Anyway, so
Yeah, no, I understand now. I understand now. I understand better. I think it's just a different I like that though. I think it's very good. Like your that way of being with life, I think is great because that's exactly right. You don't have any control and why it's like completely is defeats the purpose to tell anyone that they can't do anything. Like if they really want to do that, like why are like you're not going to hold them back by saying no. Like that's like you don't convince anyone to be with you, right? Like if they don't want to be with you, they're not. Then just let them go, right?
mm-hmm. Or if you're not
Yeah.
down
So
with their program,
I
yeah, you gotta let them
completely
go. I'm sorry,
exactly. Yeah.
but
And so
oh,
it's
I think we got a little
so
delay going on. But okay, go ahead.
yeah, we might. Yeah, we might. Um. So um. I think the difference was at the beginning with the what I said to you, which was my first boyfriend, basically. Um, I think it's just like the way we use the word jealous. Like
Mm-hmm.
you use the word jealous different to I did. So maybe let's call it intuition.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a feeling, like I had an intuition that at the end that something was not right,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that gut feeling was correct.
Okay.
But I wasn't. Hmm. Yeah, but it's a fine line, because like like I, for instance, could just like generalize this and say, oh, whenever I feel something, I'm right. Well, of course, I'm not. Like you always have to check yourself and go like, well, is this really is this really a gut feeling or is this actually your problem
Mm-hmm.
because you don't trust in people really being there for you,
Mm-hmm.
or like loving you or whatever. So like that fine line between checking in with yourself, but at the same time not being naive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's like the balance to walk is just to and I really like what you said before is exactly that is that it doesn't really make sense to be jealous, and that's true because like what can you do anyway?
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. Like when you're at that point where where your partner or whatever you've got going on with that person, wants to be with another
Mm-hmm.
and does not talk to you about it, like does not say, hey, I would like to try something else, or like I want to experiment a little bit, or whatever, or like, no, I want to be with you and just you, or whatever it is they want,
Mm-hmm.
they don't communicate that and like hide it from you. Like for me, like that's one of my highest values in a relationship and has always been that is that and that's why I never understood why people would be with each other and then lie. Like I always thought, if I'm like if I really like like, I mean, I've been in a really long-term relationship, and like I've talked to a lot of other people about this, but it's very normal to have crushes, even if you're in a long-term relationship.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I never felt uncomfortable about saying to my partner and say, hey, this guy I like, he's so hot, and I really, you know, I think he's really cute, and or this girl or whatever,
Mhm.
right? And usually, like my long-term partner usually used to say, oh yeah, okay, cool. And then but he used to say the same, would walk through the city and he would say, hey, oh, look, this girl, she's really beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, she is.
Mhm.
So, and I think it's just an acceptance of, and I think that kind of has more to do with you as an individual and like as a person of, like when you are in a good like relationship with your partner and a really good communion, I feel like you can voice these very natural feelings because like let's be honest, I think and too many people are not honest about this.
Mhm.
But we will always like we're alive human beings, and we will walk through the city or like at the train, and we will look at other people and we will admire them
Mhm.
or think that they're beautiful, or we want to get to know them, or that doesn't mean that we're wanting to sleep with them straight away, or
Mhm.
that we want to just be like partners or anything.
Mhm.
But we're that's just who we are. We're free, like we're
Mhm.
free beings.
Mhm.
And and so when I was a relationship counselor, which was part of my life
Mhm.
once, I had a lot of couples coming in, and one of the bigger things for them was, one of those things was at times that people got extremely jealous of their partners just watching or looking at someone else, women as men. And that really could make or break a relationship.
Mhm.
And I always thought, well, wow, that's obviously I always had a lot of compassion, and it's my job, right? But the back of the mind, I still went like, wow, okay.
Mhm.
Because it's like such deep triggers of like, if my partner leaves me, I'm not worth anything. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of the fear behind it,
Mhm.
as soon as he looks at someone, or as soon as she flirts with someone, that means I'm not worthy, which
Mhm.
doesn't have anything to do with you. Your partner is not there to make you feel good about yourself. That is not the purpose of your partner.
Mhm.
Like, your partner is not about you. It's, they're about them,
Yeah.
and you're about you,
Mhm.
and if you can connect and come together beautifully, that's lovely, but it's not their job, to make you feel good about yourself. It just isn't. I mean, it's a nice add-on, but
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yes, yes. It's really interesting. Yeah.
yeah, true, hey. I know usually that happens when people talk to me. They go like, "Oh, fuck. Well, we went again so deep. Why are we always going so deep?" And then I always say I'm European.
Mm.
That's my excuse.
You know. Maybe this is why I came here because I like being a part of this depth. You know.